Friendly.
All right, Michael, you got this.
You can do it.
Michael.
You start.
What is he doing?
I don't know. Is he clipping his fingernails?
Michael.
The Hangouts or something. Fix him. He's broken. I just want to jar his head and see if it'll kickstart it. He did say
How come I can't hear any of you guys?
Are you not listening?
Yeah, why can't you hear us?
Hello, 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 hello.
Michael.
Where is your guys' sound in this freaking...
Michael.
Your guy's sound. Austin. Marbles.
Michael, do you need text?
Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me or not.
We cannot hear you.
No, we can hear you.
But apparently my whole crew is I don't know what they're doing.
Tell him to hit the button on his thing. Maybe he screwed with it with one of his crazy devices. Headset.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know what's going on. Why?
Quit messing with your audio setting.
Yes, we're live.
Indeed. Can they hear us or him? Do you know? In the IRC?
Why can't I hear you guys?
Huh?
All right. Welcome to the Foolish Tech Show. It's Friday, thankfully. It's Michael. I'm here. We've got some people traveling. I don't know why I can't hear anyone else, but apparently you can. Join us at foolishtechshow.com or foolishit.com/live. You can join us on our IRC chat. We're here to support our software primarily, so please interrupt us if you don't want to hear our banter about news and tech stuff in general. But we will fill up the time, at least an hour. So yay, and thanks for joining us. It looks like we have several people in here. As usual, the Futures crew, Eric, Nels, and Shree are with us. Phoenix and Shuk also seem to be somewhat lively, and so why can't you hear? Why can't I hear? Because they're all muted is one reason.
I was really hoping that's what.
Okay, well,
Michael, you
didn't help her.
Come on, Michael. You can do this.
Why can't I hear?
Sound cards are difficult.
The audio.
We have faith in you.
I know there's like this volume mixer thing in the Windows.
So I guess I won't be able to participate with anyone.
You're gonna have to, because we're about.
I can.
We're. Making me drive crazy.
Well, I'll just be quiet. Well, I don't know when I'll be talking over you guys. at
Someone in
all.
the IRC tell
So
Michael that he's going to have
this
to
is
do the
going to be
talking.
very peculiar. So I had some links to
I'm
talk
almost.
about,
I'm
but
arriving with Brantley,
I'll
to where Brantley
I'll
is, and there's a
start
bunch of
here.
kids there,
Features
probably
or
kids,
Phoenix
like
rather. I'll
my
get to
kids. I
your
mean,
links
kids.
in
We
a
can't just
moment.
be talking and going
But I wanted
crazy.
to cover some of these first.
Kids be going
I don't know
crazy.
if you guys
There you
heard
go, Michael. You
of
talk.
the
Or
suicide a little while back there of Ian Murdock. He was basically created the Debian distribution. And one thing I
feel like
had
kind
learned
of like
previously to
Mystery
this
Science
story, they just published his
Theater
autopsy, and it
style
is a
here.
suicide. But the one thing I learned, and it's sad to have lost him, certainly, my condolences to any of his family and friends out there. Certainly my condolences to all of the internet, frankly, for the loss. But
The
I
internet,
was
frankly.
aware that the IAN came from his name, Ian. But I didn't know that he had a girlfriend, Deborah, at the time, and that's where the Deb came in. So Deb, Ian. It's kind of that sort of internet type love story type thing. I thought was incredibly interesting.
Great
Of course,
story,
again,
people.
I don't know when I'm talking over people. It's hard to say when I can't hear them at all, anything that they're saying. Um,
that's okay. You talk.
I'm
um,
sure he didn't mean to
You're doing
interrupt.
great.
why they can hear you and I can't.
You're doing great. Just keep going.
Why
You can't hear us, but
is this?
we're encouraging
I know,
Okay,
you.
right?
so anyway, um, so that's the Ian story I wanted to share with you guys, and again, I'll get back to yours. Um, I thought this is a cool video. Um, it's an optical illusion, so if you guys want to take a look at that, it's they have an award, apparently a contest every year for the best optical illusion, and these are some of the contestants, and I think the winner is on there too. So take a look at that. Um, Another good one that I found today was Vladimir Putin. He is apparently uh, instructed within 2 weeks for everyone for the internet to turn over all of its security key or all of its encryption keys so that they can have a back door. I'm not really clear how that's going to
Internet.
happen
This
in
is
any way,
Vladimir
shape, or
Putin.
form
Give me your
because
keys.
um, I mean, for them to build that backdoor into everything that they do, and how can they get people to comply, the third parties? I don't know where that's what he thinks he can accomplish with that, but it's Putin, and so we will see. But
He'll wrestle that
again,
internet to the ground, man. He'll force it to
having
submit.
every
Don't worry.
institution that encrypts data and transmits it over the internet, decrypting
He's
it is
starting with Michael's
probably
house.
uh, not going to do anything for anyone. A different approach to the
Coming for
problems they're
you,
looking at. In
Michael.
other words, you can't rely upon traditional means anymore uh, to monitor. So your traditional phone wiretapping type stuff really doesn't work this day and age. And the same laws and concepts you're trying to adapt to the modern era is just not um, right. And this is another case of our laws
Carol?
severely lagging behind
Carol?
the state of technology and our understanding within our governments of that technology. So that's a little interesting. Um, uh, I also found another interesting story about. It looks like if you're on the Canary, uh, you know, uh, preview builds or whatever of Chrome, you apparently now will have access to a new form of encryption, which will work with just a few of Google's servers for limited things. But this is an encryption scheme designed, and they don't explain exactly how it does this, but uh, it's supposed to be effective against quantum algorithms. And this is a big problem because a future quantum computer could theoretically um, brute force all of our mechanisms that we use to encrypt our data, and in trivial or no time. Were that to happen, I believe it would yield all current ciphers and encryption mechanisms um, worthless, effectively, at that point. So what they're specifically doing to circumvent that, I don't know, but it is Google, and apparently they evaluated a whole bunch of alternative encryption algorithms that were strong against potential future quantum attacks, and they chose this one. So we'll see where that goes, but like most things in the canary builds, they will eventually make their way to the release, the regular users, so that should be interesting. Here's another link about that Putin 2 weeks to get the encryption keys. Put that in there too. Let's see. Oh, and in case you guys haven't already heard this, this is quite relevant for. But there starting to be quite a few articles out there questioning the worth of antivirus software. So far as they're going so far as to say that they cause more problems than they resolve, and our government actually put out a warning against them. You know, when our government puts out a warning against something, they got to be doing something pretty piss poor, and I believe that the whole industry, the whole antivirus, anti-malware industry really needs to reevaluate their practices moving forward, because it really isn't acceptable that they put their users at risk by installation of their software that's supposed to offer them security. And particularly when looking at the tools that they put in to try to validate a website, to check to make sure it's okay for you to visit, and those are very weak, and they have flaws, and oftentimes can be used to harm you just as readily as they thought it would be useful to provide and proffer up that information. But like any other companies, these security vendors are in it for profit more than your protection. And I think they've gotten a little lax with their protection and gotten a little heavy on the profit side. And that's why we see the situation
Where's your data
we see.
to back this up? Cite your sources.
Speaking of encryption, see, it looks like WhatsApp and Facebook are trying to do the protect their users with end-to-end encryption, but this looks like it's not on by default necessarily. There's been some issues about that. There's been other issues about the actual implementation of it and other factors. I don't necessarily trust Facebook to do something like this. For end-to-end encryption these days, it's more and more necessary now that we have so many governments and foreign governments like Putin and ours actively trying to decrypt and get access to everyone's everything. Seemingly in the guise of national security interests. However, as I think you well know by the recent news and all the attacks and everything else that's going on, our national security is not being helped by anything they're currently doing. Whether they'll argue against that, but show me the data. Show me the data. Putting a whole lot of laws in place with very little results and claiming they're working. So. There's that. So I hope I got the WhatsApp, and did I? Yeah, I got the Facebook one. And let's see, do I have any other links? I think I have a few more. Yeah, that we're speaking of the
Phoenix has a bunch of links.
So yeah, this might be the first time police used a robot to kill somebody.
Michael.
In that recent tragic, horrible, tragic.
Michael. No.
story there in the shooting in Texas there, but the police ambush there, but it looks like they used a robot to blow the guy up. So that I thought was robot news worthy. So I'm done talking about what I'm done with. Proctor, so come on, tell me, man, how do you fix the sound problem? You've had it before, I think. The fuck do you do to resolve it? I can't hear you, so you're gonna have to type. So saying the answer ain't gonna help me. And if Brentley's talking to me, I have no idea what he's saying. Okay, he's screaming something apparently. Better lip reading. Enunciate. Enunciate. No, no, no. Ring Central is set.
Just so you know, I wasn't saying anything. Just so you guys at home know. Not Michael. He'll never know.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
You can?
How did that happen now?
Oh. Well, now I gotta check the stream and make sure you didn't break the stream. People in the chat, can you hear us?
I don't think that I did. It's weird. Yeah, Phoenix, what do you mean? Damn.
People are here.
They can hear us? The stream?
Michael, take over the show. Yeah, the stream can hear us. Michael, take over the show.
Okay,
Of like 10 kids and 5 new adults and all kinds of crazy stuff. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I have some more to talk about. I want to go over Phoenix's links now. Okay, so Windows 10 Redstone almost ready. Yeah, well, it's the there's even talk about the Redstone 2s and stuff, but yeah, that's the anniversary update. It's going to come out in August. Yay. If you need me to repeat anything, just mention it in the chat. I'll try to keep up with you guys. It looks like I'm doing this all solo now. Let's see if I missed. Oh, there's some malware posting his Firefox updates. Be careful, it looks like. Sorry about the overlap, guys. I talked about some good stuff, though. Google has a plan to fix it. Yeah, and Phoenix, that I think is probably related to that story I posted about the canary build. So yeah, that's related. Cool. Thank you for that. What's this local guides drive award? I wasn't familiar with that. Oh, I didn't know they offered you a terabyte of free storage to if you drive a lot, apparently, or something like that. Yeah, that always irks people when they do silly things like that. Let's see. Microsoft lets AI experiments loose in the world of Minecraft. Oh, that looks fascinating. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Phoenix. fans of Minecraft. I'm in general a fan of Minecraft from its educational perspective. When it remains within that focus, I'm a big fan of it. I don't like Microsoft necessarily being at the helm of it, but if they can bring some good out of it and keep focused on the educational aspect of it, which seems to be the case with this AI stuff, I think that's really good of them, and maybe this will be the one business that they purchase that they didn't, that they didn't turn into the phone fiasco. Let's just call it. I so wish I could hear you guys. I almost want to invite you guys into the chat. In fact, I guess I could do that. I mean, why not, right? I mean, let's see. Let's see what it's saying. Copy URL. Sure, I can. Why not? Everybody join me in the chat. Everybody join me in Ring Central. You can get in on a video meeting if you want to chat with me directly. One-time offer. This is not going to usually happen, but I got to get through till 7. So you guys, if you want to join me, you're more than welcome. There shouldn't be any restriction on that. Wow, with Redstone circuits. Yeah, it's amazing. I've seen. I talked about the computer that they built with it. Yeah, Eric, Minecraft can be amazing to see. Dead body while playing Pokemon. All right, that's just, they basically had her walk to a local water resource, which was, freaking pond or something like that, and there was a dead body in it. Okay, well, that can happen. People do die, and people do cover up those things. So, nothing too terribly crazy there. And Phoenix looks like is joining us. Welcome, 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 Phoenix. It's nice to see you again. Let's see what this YouTube is. Oh wait, I can't play videos. That's right. Thank you for the update, though. I appreciate that.
What's up, Michael?
Hey, Phoenix. It's good to have you with me.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm well.
That's good.
How's everything with work?
Good. Busy.
Great, great. Glad
Busy.
That's the best kind. The days go by a lot quicker when it is busy. Oh, Zombie.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, Zombie? Good to see you.
Oh, Zombies in. That's good.
Yeah, maybe he's been in for a while. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Z sometimes is off my end of my list. Let's see. Where's Apparently Nick and Proctor going? Well, their house is the house where they're at is being overrun with children. So I don't think they're going to be able to be with us anymore.
Yeah.
So listen, I've been working on. I just got this little guy in.
Cool.
This is a Pine 64 board. It's a 2 gig board. It's got a 64-bit ARM, 53 core. It's running at quad core 1.2 gigahertz. It's also got a module, which I actually didn't pay for. I think they just gave it to me for free because I had some issues with the customer service. I ordered this, and I wanted my shout-outs to Pine 64, and my apologies for kind of taking it. I'll tell you what transpired, but here's what happened. I had ordered in March 25th from them, March 5th from them, and it was a pre-order, and it was supposed to ship in May, sometime in May. So I knew that, and I'm patient, and I didn't need it quickly or anything like that, so that was fine. Come May 25th or so, 26th I believe actually, I get a notification that it shipped. I'm like, yay, cool. And then weeks go by and I don't get any, and I don't hear anything, and there's the tracking number that they provided with me has yet to be updated, basically saying that the label was printed but nothing was picked up. So long story short, but I spent 6 emails throughout the course of the next month attempting to contact them, and all the email addresses that I was able to find. I finally found a shipping email address, which I didn't notice before, but all their all the things says sales or support. You know, they don't have that advertised too well. But I found it buried somewhere, shipping address, and I sent something to there, and that's the only one I ever got a reply from. Except the interesting thing was they replied, they had access to all my emails, so somebody was definitely getting them. Now the customer service broke down, but I think what probably happened, it's one of those mistakes. I think the label was probably printed out and somebody was assigned to do it, and whatever happened, it didn't get out. I understand human error. I understand those types of things. What I don't like and didn't like about the situation was the lack of response. You know, just a simple email saying it's going to be delayed by 6 months. Honestly, it would have been fine for me. I understand that, you know, production or demand can exceed production. I understand that these are small runs sometimes that they're dealing with. I understand that they're newly designed products. I understand all of that stuff. It was off of a Kickstarter campaign, so I mean, I'm reasonable about all that. What I don't like is the lack of communication, but they did finally get back to me after I filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau.
Oh, jeez.
And they shipped it to me. It got to me within 2 days, effectively, of UPS picking it up, which was actually pretty good. It's just USPS shipping, and but it was coming from California, so I would have expected it actually possibly to have taken longer. Now, I think, and I'm hoping that they, you know, took my frustration into concern, and that's why they included the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module, which I'm happy to try out, although most of my boxes I've been hardwiring. But you know, it's a nice something to play around with. But I want to see how this goes. It's a bit bigger, as you might notice. It's a good bit larger than, just to give you an idea, this little box is the exact size of my Odroid C2, which is the exact size of a Pi, and as maybe if I put it in the front, you can see that it's considerably bigger. Now, this could be a good thing for those with big hands. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but if you are used to working with Pi dimensions, excuse me, this is not going to conform to that, and it will require its own type of. And obviously you want to be careful in the peripherals. Now it does have, interesting enough, it does have a Pi 2 compatible expansion bus on it, and it also has a high-speed Euler bus for additional connectivity. I'm really not clear what all that's going to be used for. I think the Euler bus is basically just a higher speed version of the Pi 2 bus, allowing for some additional high bandwidth connectivity, maybe even, yeah, I don't know, something. Yeah. So that's going to be something I'm going to play around with. I'm putting the case together right now. Unfortunately, most of the cases are sold out on the Pine 64 site, so I had to go with a guy that's good with acrylic, and he makes custom cases for them. Except they're kind of do-it-yourself, so you basically just get acrylic pieces and you got to screw it all together. I knew that going into it, but I'm all thumbs when it comes to these types of projects, and so it has taken me quite a bit longer than I expected to make this happen. I'm basically peeling off the backing on all the acrylic that I was provided with. Yeah, so... And stupidly, I didn't, forgot to put in a piece, and I forgot to take it off. So I'm going to have to undo what I basically just did a short while ago. But it's a fun little project doing this, and it's given me a little bit of patience and an appreciation for you know, the design of the acrylic case and the things that they take into consideration when they're building these things. So I don't think I'm going to have this ready before the show ends to show off in any meaningful way,
Yeah.
but it's maybe next week I can just let you guys know what I'm doing with that.
Yeah.
Anybody have any
How much
pilot?
did you pay for that? Like,
Okay, well the this one was the base board is $15, and that's for 512 meg version of it with the same specs. It's got gigabit Ethernet ports, it's got two USBs, it's got a quad core 1.2 gigahertz. It doesn't have a real time. It does have a real time clock. Surprisingly, this is one of the few that do actually have that, and I just have to attach a battery, and this case actually has a little spot for the battery to kind of go in, which is nice. And so I'm gonna see what I can make happen basically with that, and I'll let you guys know. But they're getting so cheap to get the power now. So for the high-end performance, what I've seen so far and what I've been exposed to is the Odroid C2 running about 2 gigahertz quad core. But they range. You've got the Pi 2, which is quad core 700 megahertz, although it's reasonably overclocked to gigahertz. Or excuse me, 900 megahertz, I believe, and it's easily overclocked to a gigahertz. The Pi 1, I believe, was the 700 megahertz ones. And the Pi 3 is I believe 1.2 gigahertz. It's about the same speed as this. But it doesn't have a gigabit Ethernet interface, which was something that was important for me, and it's also not 64-bit, which, as you know, the Linux community and the the Android community, they've all ditched 60 to 32-bit.
yeah.
And I'm a little bit upset with Pi. I mean, I understand the concern, the limited memory amounts on the Pi and larger code sizes, things of that nature, but it doesn't seem to be stopping all of their competitors from putting out 64-bit parts, and it's making their software choices more compelling. For instance, I'll give you a very specific example. OpenELEC basically won't do a 64-bit build. And that's one of the reasons why LibreELEC branched off from them. And I have an Odroid C2 running LibreELEC out there. And the problem with OpenELEC is they want you to run it in 32-bit compatibility. And the goal with the entire Linux community, seemingly at a large, is to get away from 32-bit. And so the developers of OpenELEC, most of them left and went over to LibreELEC, from what I understand. Although, don't hold me to the specifics as far as who left and went and their specific motivations. But I believe that's generally one of the concerns which caused them to depart. And so you're not going to see a OpenELEC 64-bit. It would appear. And so all the further coding, if you were a big OpenELEC fan, which I was, and I used exclusively up until recently, I've jumped ship. The LibreELEC development is basically superb, and they're putting out new releases every single day for even the craziest of platforms. The C2 the Odroid C2 doesn't have a huge following, but it's enough that they're putting. I'll send you guys the. I think I posted it once before, but the where is it? There is a page here. Oh no,
Somewhere.
Yeah, I will find it. But there is a page. Oh yeah, here it is. This page here shows you some of the development on the LibreELEC distribution for the C2 and how quickly it's come across. I mean, the most recent update they have is 19 June, and this has actually been one of the longer periods of time it's been since they've had an update. So anyway, that's cool, and I hope to, this is somewhere in between the Pi 2 and the Odroid C2. As far as performance is concerned, it's probably very nearly the performance, or very similar to the performance of the Pi 3. But again, this having 64-bit operating systems, which is a really cool thing. And there's so many operating systems that these new chips are supporting, which is crazy because initially the biggest complaint against these 64-bit platforms was the software, was because the drivers for their accelerated video weren't available yet. But it's always the case with these single-board computers. It's kind of the hardware is almost ready before the software, but developers fall in line, and as the prevalence of these 64-bit ARMs has increased, as they've been put into more products like these. All the major developers are now working on it full swing, and so now there's drivers out there for all the hardware. There's lots of Linux. It used to be just that they were still struggling along with Linux 3, and the Pi was always being able to advertise that they have 4 kernel or whatever running. But again, considering 32-bit architecture and old and ancient, I'm sure it was easy to do that type of porting. 64-bit, and this is all relatively new hardware. These are new systems on a chipset. Some of them have been designed in the past year. I mean, basically, that's how new they are. And when you take that into consideration, and when you take into consideration the fact that the C2 and even this board, which is far less known, this Pine 64, they have tons of operating systems available for them. Tons. Also, so Remix OS, runs, Debian runs, Ubuntu runs, all 64-bit, and lots of others too.
Yeah, tons. So.
Yeah. So I think
I mean, mostly everything runs Debian these days. I mean, probably most distros I use, like I think Remix OS, like you said. I think there's another one that's based off Android, but I think it Manjaro. Like most Linux subversions, like I think Kali runs Debian mostly, but most of them are based off Debian, and it's crazy. But I use the base Debian Jesse 8.0 on my box right next to me, but it actually works great. But so.
Yeah, I kind of I'm a fan of Debian Jesse, and I believe that ooh, I'm dropping some things. I believe that it's probably a good one to start with.
Yeah.
Because again, as I've mentioned in the past, the Pi has basically grown up with Debian.
Basically.
And if you want to do a Pi project on one of these other SBCs, like the C2 or the Pine 64 like I have, or whatever else, they have Debian distributions for those platforms, and as long as you put Debian on there, 99.999% of the time,
it'll work.
Yeah, it'll just work.
I mean, you just got to be careful of the architecture and the drivers and all that stuff. Make sure it's compatible, of course.
The lower you get down to the hardware, as far as the software you're talking about, if you're writing a piece that directly communicates with the video core graphics on the Pi 2, it's not going to work on these other platforms because they don't have that video circuitry. But aside from that, all type of networking code that should all work just fine.
Right out of the box. You don't have to install a driver. It's like you install Ubuntu or Debian and it goes boop, text driver, and it's nuts. It's like I just wonder how they get all these freaking drivers without malicious intent. It drives me nuts sometimes, but it's it's crazy. But what I want to see is either for the for the Raspberry Pi is Arch Linux, because basically it's baseline, you create it yourself and you can do whatever the hell you want. Or if you don't like command line, you can actually install Integros, which is an online installer, which you can install Arch Linux through it. So
now. It's funny you mention that. Well, because Arch again is wildly well supported on all these other ones. In fact, Arch was one of the first, I think, 64-bit distributions to support the ARM architecture. I might be mistaken, but I believe that's the case. So, this is always a little bit of a challenge to put together. I'm trying to get 4 screws lined up, and it's going to be Very time
So-
consuming. But that's not. That's getting away from the show, though. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing this while I've got the show on. Although
Yeah.
it is so interesting.
Always. So
Let's see. Who else? Glenn. Hey, Glenn. What's up?
Shoot, I think Shook is out and about because I was talking to him yesterday, I think, and he was, I think he's out and about. He's always doing shop work and stuff like that. So he always joins like after the show, like, hey, I missed it, but he always catches it. So
What is this? StartEncrypt considered harmful?
basically, Steve Gibson talked about this on his podcast this week, and actually what happened was that it's a subversion of Let's Encrypt, which basically is a free certificate of authority for domains.
Oh, yeah.
And basically what happened was they didn't rip off the name. So basically what they did, this is another side project of basically what they StartEncrypt did, for what Steve Gibson says, that basically they had the same concept where you can register your domain or you get them your domain, or you run your script and then you generate get a SSL certificate from their certificate authority. So basically there was a vulnerability in their site, or they had automatic installers, which basically you would install and basically it would do it for you and generate your keys and get your certificate automatically. So what happened was basically in the HTTP request, you could actually change it to get any certificate from Google.com, a valid SSL for Google.com, YouTube, stuff like that. And I think it's something with the post HTTP request. So basically, I posted the link there for he posted it in his show notes, but he also talks about it on his podcast. So so if you want to run your own Google.com and basically you set up a man in the middle server, have a valid SSL cert, hey, redirect, there you go. I mean, you would have to make it locally on your, intranet or whatever, but
it's doable, and it's a horrible, it's horrible that they let that happen. And I like this certificate. I mean, I like the idea of I like the idea of SSL everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
But the the downside of that is you have these services that are trying to make it easier for everybody to do that, and they're maybe not always thinking it through. So that's interesting, and I'm glad Steve has kept up with that. And the faster we know about these problems, the faster they can be quicked, and the hopefully less they can be exploited before that.
Well, I mean, it was just a flaw in their installer, but basically I think Steve said that the installer tried to look for the highest privileges, for root and what have you, because, just a simple installer. But basically, since it looked for your CA and then, got the cert and all that crap, but basically it was something on their end, but they probably fixed it by now since, they're like, oh, hey, we screwed up on our installer and now it's, now someone can get, the certs that they're not supposed to. But I mean, it wasn't malicious intent, but other CAs were hopefully aware of it. But I think even Cloudflare, I was looking on their site last week, and they were saying, I think if for Freezer you can get free DDoS protection, which is minimal, and a web firewall and all that crap. Basically, I think you can get a free SSL cert through Cloudflare for a free account without paying them per month or what have you. But so that is pretty good. So
Linux is 25 today.
I didn't see that today, Glenn. Huh.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I wouldn't have known. Yeah, I didn't see that in my feed, or maybe I know Twit Network has a Linux show, or no, I think that's Podnuts. Either way, I think I don't watch that podcast specifically, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's
okay. So it's definitely 25 years. Linux was 1991, but let's. I didn't know what the specific date was.
Well, it's Linus Torvalds, so it's you look when he first made Linux, which was.
Let's see.
What was the first Linux distribution? I'm pretty sure it was Debian. Had to be, because Debian's one of the oldest Linux distributions around.
It would be Debian, and we talked about this earlier. It's because it's after Deborah and Ian, Deb and Ian.
But
Let's see. Yeah, I'm not getting a specific date on it, so I don't think it's recognized today or any other specific day as being a birthday, but I think it's just a
it's,
year. Um,
no, just saying the article I'm looking at just saying it just Tavares made it 1991, blah blah blah. Um, so maybe it's this day. So like on this day, maybe he published it to the world like on July 8th, 1991. You know,
maybe, maybe.
let's see.
Well, anyway, happy birthday, Linux, and all the success in the world for you, Linus. You're amazing, amazing man, and you've certainly started a revolution in the world.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd ever believe that your operating system would effectively be at the heart of more devices than Intel's.
Yeah, I mean, like every Android tablet is Linux now. It's crazy, but I mean, even the thing I think I was watching there's a YouTube video which basically there was an interview between, or I think it was like a open mic type of interview with Linus himself, and I think he even said a while back that he doesn't like Debian and he doesn't like Ubuntu. I think he said because the way that Conical or who makes Ubuntu,
Yeah.
shifts it and all that crap. I mean, Debian is the base of everything. Like, every seed box provider that you see runs Debian on their boxes. I was watching that Mr. Robot clip yesterday. I think they were doing a Facebook Live thing, and basically they were doing a Linux. It actually showed the clip where, spoiler alert, but basically it shows a hidden clip where Tyrell he takes off the F Society mask,
Oh.
and he says why all this, and then he actually goes over to Elliot, and then he's watching the payload execute. So basically, I mean, we all know that it was Tyrell and Elliot, so because season 2, but well, they said it in the trailer too because the Obama message. But interesting though is that they actually got President Obama to actually do that message for Mr. Robot, so they didn't actually fake that. So that was I mean, you can't really, you could, but it's but yeah, I think it starts. I think the second season starts on the 13th, which is next week, Wednesday.
I'm ashamed to admit, but I still have yet to watch that at all. So.
I think it's like you can watch it on Amazon Prime now. You can watch it on. I think it's free on Amazon Prime now. They used to charge it, I think, but now I think it's free.
Ooh.
Or if you have Comcast, or you can watch it through them. But Comcast. I think on Google Play it's like $1.99 per episode. So you can do that, or you can actually buy the episodes through YouTube, but they're only like $4.80 piece. So if you don't want
no.
I mean, it's decent. Like if you're just watching it in the window, but if you want the full screen, just get the buy it from the iTunes store, or what have you, or whatever you want to do. So
yeah, sure.
I mean, Eric's seen Mr. Robot, so that's good. I mean, hopefully, but I mean the technical writing, Michael, is amazing. I mean, it's Sam Esmo.
Heard.
I mean, they actually have a lot of hackers, cybersecurity analysts. They actually have the real deal on there saying, I think even on USA's network they have a few like Easter eggs saying like, like tricking you, like when he's doing this, he was actually doing this, and I think even they're saying now that Sam, or the creator Sam Esmo, is actually going to be in it, or actually more involved in season 2 than season 1, because he was just kind of like pushing it on, like kind of like directing it sort of way, but now he's more directly involved season 2. So I mean, he's not going to be in the show hopefully, but
yeah. Well, that's certainly something to look forward to, and I hope they keep that up. It's great to see a strong series that has that type of technical writing on the back end, and
Yeah.
apparently reasonably fun stories to follow as well. So
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because when I first saw it on YouTube, I was like, Mr. Robot, I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, oh, another CSI crap, and well, like Scorpion or something. But
yeah, I didn't
it's like,
have.
it's
I always, Brantley suggestions, we don't always agree on exactly the same thing. So, but more often than not, generally, if he recommends a show, there's usually something that's good about it. I'm
yeah,
not saying I'm always going to fall exactly in line with him, but yeah, it's definitely good. I want to switch topics a little bit though, and there is a good article that I was reading, and with all the shift to the SSDs, it's kind of, you kind of might think that mechanical hard drives may just eventually die out, but they're going to be around for some
yeah,
very long time to come. Certainly,
they won't die off.
yeah, they're going to be around. But I wanted to know, what's happening. Where are they going? What are they doing to improve performance? What are they doing to improve density? What are they, how are they planning to evolve over the next few years? And I thought this article was great with that. It's actually a Seagate interview type thing. But Seagate, like any other large manufacturer, has a general roadmap, and they don't, talk about specific dates and specific product pricing and stuff like that. But you kind of know where they're going and where they're headed, as well as the rest of the industry, because, well, they're a prominent player in it, and odds are that Western Digital and Toshiba, all the other ones are basically looking at the same game plan, the same roadmap. So we're gonna right now we're perpendicular magnetic recording. It looks like we're gonna transition into shingled. We already have a lot of the high-end drives are already shingled. The largest capacity drives are already shingled magnetic recording. After that, a little bit farther into the future, we're looking at heat-assisted magnetic recording and more advanced versions of that down the road. But the key point that I'm taking away from this is that the controller logic and the head complexity is going up dramatically. Now, since SSD started, they've always required, because of the unreliability of NAND flash, they've required a little bit of heavy lifting with ECC and stuff like that. The controllers actually, they had to perform at a certain level. And some drives, from two different manufacturers, all else being equal, with a faster controller would typically perform better, as you might expect. So in the SSD market, the controllers have kind of taken a center light, and so you might even distinguish SSDs based upon the type of the controller that they're based upon, and not so much the actual type of NAND being used in them, or maybe anything else for that matter. But with hard drives, it's not the case. Usually, you're not looking at the hard drive controller. There's not a whole lot that they're doing actually inside in current drives. I mean, they obviously are doing stuff, but there's not so much, compared to SSDs that they were doing. Certainly, you didn't need, to have a gigahertz controller on a conventional magnetic hard drive. However, these new technologies that they're employing are basically bringing the same problem to the table. You're basically having less reliability because of smaller and smaller spacing, and shingling or overlapping of two things under a head, of two separate bits of data. And there needs to be ways to have the controller still operate. So they're basically employing the same error correction techniques, the same types of stuff that they did with SSDs. And it looks like you're going to see a much higher cost on the controller and for these new drives. I mean, I still think ultimately they'll be cheap in comparison to, let's say, NAND flash, but there's definitely going to be some increased complexity on that end, and I think you're going to start to see manufacturers distinguish themselves based upon the controller in it, very much like what we're seeing with SSDs. Anyway, I'll shut up. Yeah, Wendy's hack. I
I just
was
saw
a
that
bit
on
concerned. I read this
Reddit.
earlier today.
Yeah, well, I was just looking around on Reddit, and I saw that. I was like, well, on the system admin subreddit. So,
Well, they're they the initial hack apparently was followed by the initial malware and the initial what they thought hack was not the extent of it, not nearly the extent of it, and
Yeah.
tons of their stores were compromised,
Yeah.
and they're actively being used by the bad guys out there
Yeah.
to fraudulently using the cards, and it's enough information for them to have everything that they need. So,
Yeah.
and how many people it affects? Something like 40 million people, 30 million people, something like
Well, I
that.
mean, it's most of the like I have a credit union like right across the street from my house. So basically, I get notified whenever if I make something overseas, I have to call them and say, hey, this is me. Authorize it. But so my bank has very good security. I mean, I trust a local bank better than a national bank because they don't have 15,000 people calling them all at once saying, hey, my stuff's been
That's a
hacked.
good point.
And it's like Liberty Mutual or something. Like if they get hacked or they barely get hacked because I know the chief technology person. So basically, they get notified within minutes. But basically, if like TD Bank gets hacked, which they never do, almost never. But basically, if they did, then my credit card got hacked. 15,000 users are going to call the national call center, and you can't get through. So,
Mm-hmm.
I like credit unions better than big banks because you can just go across the street, do the same stuff.
I'm a
And
big fan of credit unions primarily because you own the bank.
yeah, well, I mean, it's member supported, so and plus, you get reimbursed up to a point. I mean, national banks are better because you can, better options and all that stuff. But
Yeah, I'm a big fan. My parents
yeah,
are big into credit unions, and they've instilled that into me. And while I have been a little less willing to go that route because of the lack of ATMs, um, uh, it probably is the better option for most individuals out there, I would say,
yeah.
if they have it available to them.
But what else?
Yeah, Glenn, guys, let's be careful of our conversations. We don't want to offend anyone
What's going on?
out there. And certainly there's been some really bad events happening out there in the world outside of the tech world, and I'd rather not go into them too much. I'm sure everyone has an opinion on the matter, but what we need not do is incite anything more than it, of course, already is. And let's return our conversations to technology. Do you have any recommendations for mechanical keyboards? I'm in the need of possibly replacing a keyboard.
Let's see. Are you looking for like a wireless keyboard or like a wired type deal?
I mean, the wired or wireless is largely irrelevant. I'm looking for how it's going to feel and type. And
I mean, I use this kind of deal. It's a Logitech small board. It's a small one. No.
Have you used a mechanical keyboard before?
Yeah, I mean, I got one underneath my desk. So basically, if I need to, for some reason, when I try to boot from my Easy to Boot driver, my HP desktop over here, it's the wireless keyboard does not work with the adapter. I don't know why with the Easy to Boot menu. So basically, I have to use the wired keyboard. Just basically I mean, it works once it's booted up to the Linux distro. It just, it's something. I think it's since it uses Grub and all that crap. I'll have to email Steve and ask what's up, but could be just something with the adapter or what have you. But basically, I like wireless because you just put in it's like less clutter. You don't have to run the cable and trip over it and have it short. That way, you don't have a limit on the cord itself. So basically, you just plug it in and there you go. So I would just go to stable, numeric pad, Logitech keyboard. So that's what I use. But so or Amazon. Amazon's got you can buy one for like $20. Wireless keyboard and mouse all in one. There you go. So, but.
Well, I wanted to maybe invest a little bit more though and go with a higher end gaming keyboard. The only one though I don't like the sound of mechanical keyboards. The but they have apparently made some progress making some cherry switches silent.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go with one of those, and I just didn't know if anybody's had any hands-on experience with that, or could recommend something maybe geared towards a programmer or somebody that certainly types a lot.
I mean, you can always reprogram those keys. So like you can get like a gaming keyboard from like CyberPower, or CyberPower I think they make gaming keyboards. Pretty sure they do, or I think there's another one, but you can actually get those and then reprogram them to hotkeys and what have you to program, and or if you just want something that lights up at night so you can easily see the keyboards or what have you, you can always program them to your liking. Or some of them may have presets, so basically you can change the preset on the keyboard, one for programming, one for gaming, one for what have whatever you want. So
sure. Well, okay, that's something I'm gonna consider then.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go all out, because the more features you want, the more expensive it's gonna get. I just like a simple keyboard because it just works, and then But try Newegg. I mean, or even Amazon. They have, if you're not picky on a brand, just go on Amazon, type in gaming keyboards, and there you go. So. But
Okay. Also need to upgrade my RAM soon. DDR4. I need a
Crucial, maybe.
Well, I like G.Skill. I've been kind of
Yeah.
a G.Skill fanboy for a little while now,
Yeah.
and I kind of want to go that route. But I'm not absolutely set on that. I'm actually looking for more of a good deal. I need 32 gigs of two 16 gig sticks of a fairly reasonable speed DDR4, at least 2800. And
Yeah.
I was hoping to get it for a little bit closer to, I think I can do it for about 150 now.
Really? For 216 gigs? That seems, I can get it cheaper. I know a lot of places where you can get that cheaper for 216 gigs.
Well,
Right?
again, I look at the quality. If you're talking about 2133,
Yeah. I mean,
but anyway, I wanted it to come down to like 120 or 100 or 120.
Yeah. What I usually do is I go on Crucial and then use their online scanner tool, just to check what I have instead of ripping out my board and doing all this crap. So basically that will detect your stuff and then list the recommendations. And then what I usually do is take that specs from Crucial, paste that into Google, and then, slam that into, and then just.
Yeah,
So,
I'm actually, I don't necessarily trust third-party tools to do that type of job, so I'm not really going to recommend what you just said. However, what I will recommend is using CPU-Z to read out the SPDs on the memory sticks. And
but that's why I use too. Also, well, first I use Crucial just to get the type, because I can't remember that all the time. So basically, I just get the type, and then I use CPU-Z to actually get the output, because it measures it, and then I go on like Newegg, Amazon, PC Connection, even Firepower, just to see what their builds are doing, because just see what the new tech is and gaming. So
absolutely.
But,
Oh yeah, I generally follow along those, but I'm well versed with the current sticks that I have in there. They're just really low end, cheap A-data sticks. Not anything I'm terribly proud of. But if I am gonna, I don't want to replace the memory per se. I'll probably leave the current 16 gigs that I have in, but I wanted to add another 32, and it doesn't make any sense for me to add 8 gig sticks at this point in time. It's basically memory I'm going to have to throw away at some point to expand. So I never like to do that.
Geez, yeah, most of the ones I'm seeing, like for 16 gig, is like $199, $190 on Amazon for let's see, 288 pin, and then 3200. And then, like the other ones are like, 109, 200, whatever, but usually I'm seeing 60 to $190, but you could probably take that same thing you see on Newegg and probably like slam it on Amazon. You could probably get it much cheaper, or even eBay,
Yeah, Yeah.
Because I mean, you don't have to pay the Newegg is very expensive when it comes to RAM. I don't know why. It's just
I don't know. I
for
found them
some.
to be okay.
Yeah,
And not off the ball. I sometimes have problems finding, Amazon doesn't give me good
yeah.
prices often. Um,
Newegg's got most of the stuff. I wouldn't particularly if it's. I wouldn't pay $190 just for RAM. I mean, it's decent, but if I was building another rig, then I'd look maybe like 120. But it's you know
well,
you can
I'll do what I have to do. I mean, it's going to come to the
yeah.
point where I'm not going to be able to wait any longer
You don't have to get
because.
G Skill. You can always just take that specs and then look up, Crucial and
Yeah, well, I
memory,
have.
memory. It's just
Well,
different brand.
I know we've generally I'm in agreement with that, but there has been some talk about the Rowhammer attacks, and G-Skill memory seems to
Yeah,
be resilient against that for some reason, and that's really
really.
and I'm not really clear how they accomplish that because there's actual memories out there that advertise themselves as being um, protected against those types of attacks,
Yeah,
and they're not in testing. Now, I haven't actually done the testing that the researchers did to determine this. It's obviously very specialized testing. But G-Skill seems to come out with flying colors on their reviews. Now, for most purposes, and yeah, unless you have somebody actively trying to that has physical access to your computer,
yeah,
that's going to be, well, not physical access to the computer. I guess all that somebody would really have to do is write a program to do this, and then I guess infect you with it, and then they could use that program potentially to steal information from you.
yeah. I mean, it's the thing with the encryption, like with Veracrypt, is like, or TrueCrypt, so to speak, is basically even the guide says that if someone has physical access to your box, you can't protect it because if they know the password or if your drive's not fully encrypted or if you do something that places your key on a root directory that oh, here's my encryption key, then you know the encryption is pointless because if you expose your private keys or your encryption keys or your password somewhere on a sticky note, then you know it's pointless. But if you lock it down and secure it in a volume and keep a password manager like a YubiKey or something, then that's better security. That's what I do with my YubiKey is I store everything offline, so much better. So
Yeah. No, I was hearing what you're saying. I'm sorry, I was muted there for a second. But
yeah.
I think Lucy wants to come on to teach. Come on. Oh, yes, you do. She loves to teach. She loves the camera. She loves it. You're such a good girl. I love you too. You got such a crazy mouth. Look at those teeth. Oh, she's got the jaw trap. Bear trap of a jaw. Um, she gives me endless pleasure in life. I recommend everyone who's suffering from mental illness, anyone who has problems with depression, anyone who's just not feeling good or happy in their life,
Get
to
a dog
adopt a dog. Yeah, it's
or get a
definitely
cat.
the way to go. Um, and what else do we got here? We're almost. Oh, we are over 7 o'clock. I think we're gonna have to shut it down.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and sorry
You.
for the small crew turnout on my end. Puppy alert. Oh, I wasn't reading the chat. Sorry, I got a little distracted. Let's see. Let's just review the chat real quick before we sign off. Let's see if
Yeah.
we missed anything important.
But
So somebody's getting a video card.
oh,
I would love to know, Eric, what card you're getting
yeah.
and what
Get the
platform you're
new
building.
DX. I'm not even sure if that's out yet. They did a review on it, but I want to see how.
The GTX 1080 and the 1070 are out. The 1060 is going to be out towards the end of the month. The
Yeah. I think
1920.
it is a 1060.
Yeah, the 1060. That's one that I'm highly anticipating.
Yeah.
AMD's solution, or lack of a solution, has already been released. If you do go the AMD route, anybody out there, please take some of the articles that I posted previously into consideration. You want to get a non-reference design, preferably one with at least an 8-pin power connector, not the standard 6-pin that they've included on the reference designs, and certainly a custom third-party add-in board manufacturer good, cooling
Yeah.
solution. If you do those things and you can find the RX 480 at a reasonable price, it'll be great. The problem is the 1060 is being released at 250. I can easily see
Oh,
them.
jeez.
Yeah, I can easily see them meeting the RX 480's
Yeah.
price point of $200 pretty quickly. And at that point, AMD's got nothing to compete on because they're
Yeah.
not doing price and they're not doing performance.
Nope. Only CPU. But I mean, that's what AMD's great at. They're low CPUs. I mean, at a cheap price. If for no high-end Intel's more the, gamers, what
But
have
it's
you.
sad
So,
that their highest end chips in AMD basically don't perform about as well as
yeah.
an high end i3. You know,
Yeah, I
um,
mean, it's like, what the heck? I mean, they charge this much money, and then they say it's this range, and then it doesn't perform for the specs. It says it's like, what the hell? It's
well,
like,
I mean, again, if you can keep the cost always rock bottom, there may be a niche market that Intel just really isn't interested in pursuing that might keep them going. But what really has been keeping them up and propping them up is their success in the
yeah,
graphics card aspect of it. And as
yeah.
I've mentioned previously, they've sold off their CPU designs or licensed them out to Chinese
Jeez.
ones. So it
Yeah,
looks like there's going to be Chinese competition from them. So they might even want to completely exit the CPU arena and focus primarily on graphics. And maybe with the combined resources just behind the graphics venture, it might
yeah.
do better. But if it stays the way it is, they're going bankrupt. I'm telling you that
Probably.
right
I
now.
mean, it's right now from when I see it, AMD's going. They're doing okay, but they're not. I mean, it's either Intel's going to acquire them, like because they're partners, so to speak, because basically they're using the same processors as AMD's using Intel's technology. It's just impossible without they got to be using their design somehow. So basically, it's Intel is funding AMD right now. So basically, without Intel, AMD wouldn't exist. So, I think they should really just ditch the CPU or get acquired by Intel and just make it like a joint partnership, how like Facebook and WhatsApp did. Two separate companies, but still under the same umbrella. So that'd be better. But
Hmm.
I mean, it's I think they should, like you said, they should go back to maybe video graphics cards and ditch the CPUs for a while.
Yeah.
I think that will be better for them if they sell better. But
Shri came back from jury duty, looked at it, and had him reset the BIOS. Oh, okay, so we're talking about that video machine.
yeah, we
Yeah.
thought the motherboard was fried by the sound of it.
Yeah, always wipe the BIOS. I mean, it's very,
Yeah,
like I said, I was talking about options in the BIOS to specify the graphics, the primary
yeah,
graphics. I could easily see, one of those settings throwing it amok. So, yeah, Shree's got great experience, and sometimes the solution is not the more complex one. Sometimes it's the simpler one. In fact, I would always urge anyone out there troubleshooting to look at the simple things first. I mean, I know it sounds silly. Check the plugs. Just check the simple crap, and don't the weird transistor failing or a hard
yeah,
drive yeah, I mean things can and do fail, but those are less likely to occur than a misconfigured setting, a bad BIOS option, improperly mounted um, motherboard, I mean, that might be a little bit more complicated, but, it's something you could visually inspect. And sometimes we
yeah,
forget the visual inspection part of it,
yeah.
too. So,
Especially like with Louis Rossman. I mean, he fixes MacBooks down in New York City, and he's always doing videos about, oh, this guy came with me with a stepped up board, and he always fixes it because it's just a simple thing, and then he figures it out, and it was just a simple pin was stepped up, and he just took the soldering kit and melted it down and scrapped it and redid it, and he fixed it. So
Mm-hmm.
he also does data recovery too. But I mean, he has fantastic videos. I mean, if you guys read up on that lawsuit, or there wasn't a lawsuit, but basically he got contacted by some lawyer, and actually to the end of it, Apple and I think it's Apple's lawyers, Kilpatrick and whatever, they actually like his videos on YouTube. So I was like, yeah, I mean, he can't believe it because he's still asking his lawyer about it and what have you. But he's not even sure if they're gonna, if they're being nice to him and then make him go to court. So he doesn't know what the hell's going on. So he's just doing videos for the hell of it right now. So
Interesting. If you,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to post a link to that for anyone out there, but that might be something you might worthwhile to look into. But listen, Eric, just before I go about the video card, look, I wouldn't invest in a video card right now until the 1060 comes out
Yeah.
and pushes the price. You're so close right now to spend money on the last generation.
Yeah.
I think is not the best bang for your buck and the best future proofing, especially for a new system. So your choices are basically you're probably gonna want to stick NVIDIA. 1060. If it truly gets the 980 performance, you're going to be buying a card that's going to be way leaps and bounds above the GTX 960 performance,
Yeah.
and it'll put you in the enthusiast level games and should future-proof you against AAA titles for the next close to 5 years, I would say.
I mean, 980 still works pretty well with like Fallout 4 and stuff like that. I mean, it's still good graphics
If
card.
you already have a 960 or a 980, I'm not
Yeah.
recommending that you necessarily run out and up and up.
Oh yeah, I
It's
mean
not a big enough
980 is
boost.
great. I mean, it runs most games like 1080p. No, I mean, if you want 4K, go spend on the 980. No, I think it's the 980 Ti or the Titan.
The Ti or the Titan.
Titan is you'll be.
Titan's
Yeah,
too
it's pointless.
expensive for
If you want 4K, be my guest. But 4K is not. It's just. It's it's
most gamers aren't at 4K, and because
Yeah.
4K requires an associated investment in a display, it's
which is
unlikely.
another $2,000 or $3,000, by the way.
Yeah, it's unlikely that we're gonna see that to be a huge issue, and a lot of people still just game on their TVs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that works.
1080p. But okay, Eric, let us know what decision you end up making, and give us your specs. And everyone have a great weekend. Join us again on Monday. We'll be here at 8 a.m. bright and early. It should be back to normal then, so you can expect the rest of the crew in Brantley. Thanks all. Bye, internets.
Later.
Twitch is going down, and you.